The politics arc? Oh, ew! The chairman election arc brought Hunter x Hunter full circle by spotlighting the core thematic elements that this series has always been about since the beginning: familial trauma and what it means to be a hunter. It does this, not through another battle to save humanity, but instead through what Hunter x Hunter has always excelled at: playing games. The chairman election is one convoluted game played round after round for control of the association, while Killua plays his own game of cat and mouse with Illumi as he struggles to save Gon's life. Both of these storylines serve to complete the arcs of Gon and Killua that were established during the Hunter exam arc. Through Killua's protection of Alluka from Illumi, he has to finally confront the familial abuses that he has suffered and make a choice, whether to repeat that cycle or to overcome it. Gon is out of this arc for some time, but his father is the one who brings Gon's arc to its conclusion, and it's through Jean that the audience becomes intimately involved in the political machinations of the election. This storyline answers the question Gon has always wondered while growing up without his father: what does it truly mean to be a hunter? Let's begin with Killua's storyline, as it is the primary source of plot progression for the majority of this arc. Killua's plot feels very much like a sequel to the events of the Zoldyck family arc. He returns to the Zoldyck property to speak with Silva. After removing the Nen needle from his skull in the Chimera Ant arc, he remembers Alluka exists and has the power to save Gon's life. Remembering the pact Silva and Killua made, Silva agrees to let Killua use his brother-sister? Listen, the genders of this family really confuse me, so I'm just gonna refer to Alluka as a female because that's what Killua does. So, the family reluctantly agrees to let Killua take Alluka to heal Gon, but they assign some butlers to escort Killua so they can keep an eye on him. Only one family member flat out refuses to accept this situation, and that, of course, is Illumi, who Killua hasn't seen since their confrontation in the Hunter exam. This conflict with Illumi is at the heart of Killua's trauma, and during this storyline, Killua once again has to face his abusive brother and decide what kind of brother he will be to Alluka. Illumi has always been manipulative and controlling of Killua. That's clear in the Hunter exam, but we also see throughout the whole series that Illumi haunts Killua's thoughts, acting as a voice inside of his head, filling him with self-doubt. It was eventually straight up confirmed that Illumi was controlling Killua to some extent with that secret Nen needle for years. Now, Killua is finally free of Illumi's direct control, and yet, his brother still maintains a hold over him. While Killua's family is a mixed bag of supportive, abusive, loving, and cruel, all in their own unique family of assassins living in a mountain mansion kind of way, Illumi is the one member of this family who has the most toxic relationship with Killua. Now, Illumi wants to recreate that relationship with Alluka so that he can control her. During this storyline, Killua and Illumi have 3 confrontations. The first is their initial conversation, which sets their conflict into motion. The second is when Illumi tracks down the airship that Killua and Alluka traveled on. I think it's important to take a closer look at this moment because it gives us interesting insight into Illumi's mind. It's clear that Illumi has some kind of twisted love for Killua. Earlier, he told Hisoka that he believes he is in the greatest danger from Alluka's powers because Killua loves him the most. While Illumi is standing in Killua's way, he tempts Killua to kill him, and we see just how deep this twisted love goes. Illumi is willing to sacrifice his own life, uncertain that it will even stop Killua, but he gets satisfaction out of knowing that the act of killing his older brother will make Killua suffer for the rest of his life, and that Illumi will live on forever in his heart. When Killua refuses, and demonstrates that Alluka's powers won't hurt the Zoldyck family, Illumi allows Killua to go free, but becomes even more enamored with the prospect of controlling Alluka. This is the purest form of toxic love I've ever seen. Illumi wants to cause Killua to suffer in order to remain attached to him forever, feeling a need for permanent influence even after death. The final confrontation we see between Illumi and Killua comes after Alluka healed Gon. Illumi arrives at the hospital, having figured out that giving Nanika orders rather than making wishes enables Killua to use her abilities without any consequences. He tells Killua that he is the one who can most efficiently use Nanika for the good of the family. Illumi says that Alluka will remain locked away, But if Killua allows Illumi to control both he and Alluka, then Illumi can grant them minimal freedom at least. Killua states that he will protect Alluka and uses Nanika to send Illumi back home. Even upon returning home, we still see Illumi scheming to turn Killua into his puppet in order to control Alluka. This was the final interaction Killua had with anybody associated with the Zoldyck family in the series. It is this confrontation that sets Killua free. The Zoldyck family has always been centered around control. Since we met Killua during the Hunter exam, he has been struggling against the control of his family and their expectations that he join the family business. While Silva is the head of the household, and it's clear that he has great aspirations for Killua, it is Illumi who has always represented the most toxic and abusive aspect of this familial control. In the chairman election arc, Killua is presented with a choice to continue this cycle of abuse or to break it. Killua rescues Alluka in order to save Gon, something that is not lost on Illumi as he accuses him of trying to control Alluka. The difference is that Killua treated Alluka with respect throughout the entire journey, and when it was done, he tried to get rid of the part of Alluka that everyone sought to control. Killua did not seek Alluka's power for himself, nor did he want his sister to suffer as he did under the control of others, so he told Nanika that she couldn't come out anymore. However, when Alluka returns, angry at how Killua treated Nanika, she gets him to see that what he did wasn't freeing her, it was just simply imprisoning Nanika. Killua explains that he has been afraid of Illumi for so long, that he has always hated having to do what he said, and when he saw that Illumi was trying to control Alluka, he let his fears get the best of him. He respects Alluka's input, sees the error in his own thinking, and says that he will protect Alluka and Nanika from Illumi. He concludes by asking if they can forgive him for being such a rotten big brother. That is what sets Killua apart from Illumi. Illumi never praised, nor respected, nor protected Killua. He merely used Killua, actively making him suffer so that he could control him. Illumi selfishly thought of Killua as an extension of himself. He is not a person to Illumi. Killua exists solely for him to use as he pleases. Alluka is a sister to Killua. She exists as her own person that Killua strives to protect. Killua wishes for Alluka to be free, both from control, but also the imprisonment she's been confined in for years. He wants to give her a happy and safe life, and is willing to give up his own life, his journeys with Gon, and his adventures as a hunter in order to pursue that goal. Illumi wanted to control Killua to make himself more powerful at the expense of his brother's freedom. By the end of the chairman election arc, Killua has broken the cycle of familial abuse. He is able to be the big brother to Alluka that Illumi never was to him. What does it mean to be a hunter? In a way, that is the overarching question of Hunter x Hunter. It's what kicked off this story, with Gon seeking to discover what his father left him behind to pursue. The chairman election and Gon's reunion with Jean finally provide as definitive an answer as there can be. In my first video I did on this series, I asserted that a hunter is someone with an unflinching desire to keep pursuing their hunt no matter what, with an indomitable spirit which would rather perish than fail. Honestly, I think that's a pretty damn good definition, but I don't think it's complete. The chairman election arc solidifies one key point that I was missing. While I do believe that was aligned with the in-universe technical definition, I think that Togashi is trying to tell us something about the spirit of the purest hunters in this arc. That is most well represented through the candidates of the chairman election. There are 4 major characters in this arc that represent different personas which help Togashi paint what he sees as a true hunter, and by extension, how he would define Gon's personality. These characters are Jean, Pariston, Cheadle, and Netero. Now, Netero's obviously dead, so he's not physically in this arc, but he is by far the most important character to make sense out of all of this. As the former chairman and embodiment of a pure hunter, Netero is used as a measuring stick. Characters are defined to us by their relation to Netero's actions and personality, which Togashi uses as a simple roadmap for us to follow. Let's look at a few of Netero's hand-selected pupils. With Jean and Pariston, it's clear that they are both more like Netero than Cheadle, and yet she positions herself as carrying on Netero's legacy in her bid to become the new chairman. Cheadle is a false successor. She clearly respected Netero and wants to follow in his footsteps, but she doesn't seem to truly have known the man. She is acting in a way that she thinks is just. She's a goody-goody who thinks she'll win in the end because that's what's right. She isn't willing to do whatever it takes from the beginning, and in the end, that's why she loses. But more than that, she doesn't see the election as a game. She doesn't take pleasure in the competition, and that's why she is a false successor. It is Jean and Pariston who are the purest hunters, the true heirs of Netero. They both seek fun at all costs. It doesn't matter at whose expense or on how large of a scale. They seek a challenge where the outcome doesn't even matter as long as they enjoyed themselves. Jean sets the entire election in motion by cheating to get his way, the way that Netero wanted. I think it's important that we are told that this is how Netero would have wanted things to go down through Jean. This can be interpreted in two ways. One is that at some point, Netero told Jean how he wanted the election to be organized, and Jean simply followed his wishes after his death. The other is that Jean knew Netero, truly knew the type of man he was, and he believed that the rules he established for the election are the ones that Netero would have wanted. I'm more inclined to believe the latter. If these were the rules Netero wanted, he could have dictated them in his will. Either way, it's explicitly told to us that Netero would have wanted this, and since Netero only did things for a fun challenge, it's clear that Jean and Pariston are the most like him, since they are the only two who are having fun with this game. Jean doesn't even care about the outcome. He would have left the election without seeing the results if Cheadle didn't stop him. He even brings a complete wildcard like Leorio into the mix because he recognizes that Leorio is the type of person who could win over the association. Throughout this whole arc, Leorio is exclusively defined by his desire. He wants Gon to get better, and he'd do anything to make that happen. Leorio is the ideal hunter because just like Jean, Netero, and Pariston, he never gives up on what he wants. So, Jean takes a hell of a punch and props him up to make the election more interesting. Sure, Jean has a preferred outcome, but he's not gonna raise a stink if he loses, because the most important thing is that he had fun. Jean even abandoned his own son because he didn't think the life of raising a child would be as fun as being a hunter. Whether you think that is morally wrong or right isn't the point, that's who Jean is. Pariston is a twisted reflection of Jean and Netero, but he is still as pure of a hunter as can be. He enjoys the game. He enjoys his hunts. He loved being a pain in Netero's ass, he loves to mess with Cheadle, and he so desperately wants to fuck with Jean. Pariston loves to stir shit, and he never stops going after what he wants. Ultimately, Pariston wins the election, but after all that, he bows out and puts Cheadle in charge, because winning was never his goal. He never wanted to be chairman, he just wanted to have a little fun. And now that the election is through, he moves on to his next hunt. Hunters have to enjoy the challenge. Both Jean and Pariston are the true heirs to Netero's legacy because they both hunt for pleasure. Jean is driven by his desire. He is uncompromising in his pursuit of the next thing that he wants. Pariston is equally as unflinching, willing to put everything on the line to chase the thrill that he seeks. So, after everything the story shows us of these two, I am obligated to update my definition of a pure hunter to be this: someone with an unflinching desire to keep pursuing their hunt no matter what, with an indomitable spirit which would rather perish than fail, who takes great pleasure in their pursuits. Finally, the arc ends with Gon healed and reunited with his father before the entire Hunter Association, and we see how being a hunter has changed himself and Killua. Gon gives Pariston the win in the election because he knows that Leorio has his own dreams to pursue, then he ventures off to apologize to Kite and Killua for his behavior in the prior arc. It's in this final conversation with Killua that we see just how far he has come since the beginning. Killua was the only one who failed the Hunter exam, and he did so because of his encounter with Illumi. While Killua retook the exam and passed, look at what Illumi said to Killua during their confrontation before he failed. Illumi told Killua that he has no flame and that there is nothing that he wants. Killua failed to become a hunter because he lacked a true desire. Now, by the end of the series, Killua has the drive and flame to pursue something that he truly wants, and that is to protect Auluka. He is finally able to defeat Illumi because he has the motivation to never give up. Killua is finally free because he became a true hunter. With Killua having finally found something that he wants to do with his life, and with Gon at the end of his hunt that started this long journey, these two friends say their goodbyes. Atop the world tree, Jean waits for Gon. The father and son have their first private conversation, and Gon finally gets the answer that he has always longed to know. What is it that Jean wants? Jean wants what he doesn't have. He explains one of his earliest hunts, renovating ancient ruins. After gathering the correct people and all the work they did, Jean took greater pleasure in working with those he met toward a goal rather than the fulfillment of that goal. The last words that Jean says to Gon are as follows.
Enjoy the side trips. A lot, okay? Things that are more important than what you're hunting for could be right there by the side of the road.
While ultimately, Gon does get the answers that he sought, and he finally gets to meet his dad, by the end, it's clear that the hunt he went on was what truly mattered. The final issue of this arc, and the final moments of the anime, are a silent reflection on the people that Gon has met along the way. The dreams they still pursue, the relationships they treasure, and the beauty of their world, which culminates with one final shot of Meruem and Komugi's withered hands, embracing even in death. Gon has always lived the life of a pure hunter, in the same way that Periston, Netero, and Jean have, and we get the sense that although this hunt has finally been fulfilled, that he will never stop hunting whatever he desires next. He will always continue to push forward, bringing him into contact with interesting people, experiencing adventure, beauty, and further challenges, all while enjoying the side trips. Thank you for watching. Hunter x Hunter means a lot to me. When I first started covering it, I was already in love with the show. However, I'm grateful that I forced myself to rewatch it, and also to read the manga, as I've come to appreciate the story even more. Particularly Greed Island, which I wasn't the biggest fan of on my first watch through. I'm not really sure how to end this video. This will be my last one covering Hunter x Hunter, and that makes me sad. But I hope I was able to bring you some entertainment and maybe even help you appreciate this excellent series a little bit more. I'm very grateful for those of you who have been with me through this entire journey and all of you who have joined along the way. I wish nothing but the best for you in your own hunts. Now, I'll finally shut up about Hunter x Hunter.
I think I'll run for a little while.
Whoa! Cool!
My name's Killua.
Hi, I'm Gon.